This is a world gone mad. This is a world gone mad. Mad, 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 mad.
This is a world gone mad. I'm Jeff Allen Wolf. I give my commentary on national and world news and politics. Welcome to the Resistance. Here we go. U.S. consumer sentiment plummets to second lowest level on records going back to 1952. Americans are rarely this pessimistic about the economy. Consumer sentiment plunged 11% this month to a preliminary reading of 50.8, the University of Michigan said in its latest survey released Friday, the second lowest reading on records going back to 1952. April's reading was lower than anything seen during the Great Recession. Now, President Donald Trump's volatile trade war, which threatens higher inflation, has significantly weighed on America's mood these past few months. That malaise worsened leading up to Trump's announcement last week of his sweeping tariffs, according to the survey. Now, this decline was like the last month's, pervasive and unanimous across age, income, education, geographic region, and political affiliation, Joanne Su, the survey's director, said in a release. Sentiment has now lost more than 30% since December 2024, amid growing worries about trade war developments that have oscillated over the course of the year, she added. The Federal Reserve and Wall Street are watching closely how souring sentiment translates into consumer spending, which accounts for about 70% of the U.S. economy, and whether Americans lose faith that inflation will return to normal in the coming years. And it's not just Americans being pessimistic about the economy. We're down because of the vanishing of the checks and balances to hold Donald Trump accountable. We see a boulder rolling downhill. It's getting bigger as it's getting towards the bottom. So it's hard for us to get up and be excited about anything because of this lunatic in the White House and his minions around him propping him up. U.S. removes commander in Greenland following Vance's controversial visit. The U.S. announced it removed the commander of the Petufik Space Base in Greenland, that's a mouthful, on Thursday because of a loss of confidence in her ability to lead after Vice President J.D. Vance's controversial visit to the semi-autonomous island last month. Now, actions to undermine the chain of command to subvert President Trump's agenda will not be tolerated, the Department of Defense Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell wrote in a statement posted to X on Thursday, announcing the removal of Susanna Myers. Following Vance's visit to the island in late March, Military.com reported that Myers sent out an email to the space base pushing back on the vice president's actions and comments during the trip. Parnell included a link to the Military.com story in his X post. The news site reported the ousted commander wrote in an email, I do not presume to understand current politics, but what I do know is the concerns of the U.S. administration discussed by Vice President Vance on Friday are not reflective of Petufik Space Base. Colonel Sean Lee took over Myers' position, according to a press release from the Space Operations Command. And another military commander removed. You see the pattern, everyone? Let's remove the obstacles in the way of people that are in the military that are in the way of Donald Trump. Also, I'm sure some of you noticed that the person removed is a woman. Another high-ranking woman removed tells you what Trump and Republicans think about females in the military. Trump's draft budget eviscerates weather and climate research. The Trump administration plans to eliminate the research arm of National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, close all weather and climate labs, and eviscerate its budget along with several other NOAA offices, according to internal documents obtained by CNN. Now, the move would devastate weather and climate research, even as weather is becoming more erratic and extreme, and it would cripple the U.S. industries, including agriculture, that depend on free, accurate weather and climate data and expert analysis. A source familiar with the plan told CNN that while the draft budget for fiscal year 2026 will have to be approved by Congress, it is also being distributed to the agency now as guidance on how to slash its current operating budget for the agency, which means the cuts could be implemented this year. What is the target? The budget proposal eliminates NOAA's Oceanic and Atmospheric Research Office, stops funding regional climate data, climate competitive research, or sea grant programs. Overall, it cuts the funding for programs currently under the research office by roughly 75%. The proposed budget also severely defunds other key offices of NOAA, such as the National Ocean Service and the National Marine Fisheries Service, and transfers most of the fisheries service functions to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, which sits under the Interior Department. NOAA currently is housed within the U.S. Commerce Department. The internal Trump administration document says the National Marine Fisheries Service should prioritize permitting to unleash American energy from activities like offshore oil drilling. No respect for wildlife, as evidence from them wanting to pick up on offshore oil drilling and dismantling another department that is crucial, with no regards to the consequences of that removal of the wing of that department. Different day, same method. Iran lays out red lines ahead of nuclear talks with the U.S. Iran has set strict terms ahead of crucial talks that it'll hold with the U.S. on its nuclear program. Semi-official Tasnim news agency reported on Thursday, citing sources it didn't identify. Major red lines include threatening language by the Trump administration and excessive demands regarding Iran's nuclear program, Tasnim reported. The U.S. must also refrain from raising issues relating to Iran's defense industry, Tasman said, likely referring to Iran's ballistic missile program, which the U.S. Middle Eastern allies see as a threat to their security. In February, President Donald Trump reinstated a maximum pressure campaign on Iran aimed at preventing the Islamic Republic from building a nuclear weapon. According to the memorandum, the U.S. would also implement a campaign aimed at driving Iran's oil exports to zero and deny Iran intercontinental ballistic missiles. Iranian and American delegations are due to arrive in the Omani capital Muscat on Saturday morning, Tasnim said. Now, after a meeting with Oman's foreign minister, indirect talks are scheduled to begin in the afternoon. Trump said that talks will be direct. Look, here's another country that Trump is going to try to negotiate some kind of new treaty with, in this case, nuclear arms. I don't disagree with limiting nuclear arms to a country like Iran, but I'm questioning the methodology of Donald Trump with his strong arm tactics and his need to belittle another country's leadership. How will this play out in regards to talks with Iran? We'll find out. China raises retaliatory tariffs on U.S. imports to 125%. China has raised its tariffs back to America from 84% to 125%, the State Council Tariff Commission said in a statement on Friday. Beijing appeared to indicate that it wouldn't increase its tariffs on U.S. goods beyond the 125%, according to a statement from a Commerce Ministry spokesperson. The successive imposition of excessively high tariffs on China by the U.S. has become nothing more than a numbers game with no real economic significance. It merely further exposes the U.S. practice of weaponizing tariffs as a tool of bullying and coercion, turning itself into a joke, the spokesperson said. If the U.S. insists on continuing this number game with tariffs, China will not engage. However, if the U.S. persists in substantively harming China's interests, China will resolutely take countermeasures and fight to the end. All indications point to China not putting up with Donald's tariff bullshit. Sources convey that China is not going to back down no matter what, and they're in this fight with tariffs for the long haul. This is definitely something we all need to watch for the obvious reasons, but the main reason is that this is dangerous. And finally, how to stay motivated to work out by using mottos or mantras. When Nike unveiled its now famous slogan, "Just Do It," in 1988, it helped propel the US-based sportswear company to worldwide fame. Ordinary people also began invoking the catchphrase to motivate themselves to tackle daunting tasks such as sticking to an exercise routine. That's no surprise to researchers who have found motivational quotes, mantras, and positive self-talk help people in myriad ways. College students who listened to the mantra of their choice were more cheerful, had more clarity of mind afterward, according to a 2018 pilot study in the Journal of Religion and Health, while self-talk strategies facilitated learning and enhanced sports performance. A meta-analysis published in the journal Perspectives on Psychological Science found out. Now, researchers also uncovered a positive connection between human health and mantra meditation. The practice of focusing your mind by repeatedly chanting a mantra in a 2022 review published in the International Journal of Yoga. The use of mantra meditation for stress relief and coping with high blood pressure was especially promising. Now, with mantras and mottos so helpful, many fitness coaches incorporate them when working with their clients. I find them extremely useful, said Alicia Flynn, a woman's running coach and founder of the training program What Runs You, based in York, Pennsylvania. They help people refocus their mind and develop a sustainable habit that keeps them moving and healthy for a long time. Motivation can be fleeting, agreed Kaya Luciani, a coach with the virtual training app Future based in Raleigh, North Carolina. A more reliable source of drive comes from our mindset, Luciani said. While mottos are bite-sized, they are also a really powerful way to hone and train our mindset. They get people thinking. Maybe it's as easy as just doing it. While mantras such as "just do it" and "yes you can" are popular, they don't work for everyone. Each person has to find the particular phrase or sentence that speaks to them. Choosing something that's short and easy to remember is best, said Flynn, who doesn't recommend finding a mantra through research. I usually encourage clients to let the words just find them, Flynn said. That's what will make the mantra resonate more deeply. Mantras and mottos are definitely personal, Luciano agreed. I don't suggest a specific phrase or a quote to a client, she said. They often develop naturally, always end up being something that just clicks with a client in some way. While not everyone will be helped by adopting a fitness motto, the two coaches have noticed some commonalities when using them with their clients. Younger women often adopt phrases such as, "I can do hard things," because they want to prove something to themselves, Flynn said. But for women who are 35 or 45, their mantras are more about grace and understanding and honoring themselves. Luciani, who coaches both men and women, doesn't see huge differences in the mottos selected by each sex. Instead, she finds the mantras people adapt are more associated with their personality type and lifestyle. Now, phrases that are more cut and dried, like "just do it" from Nike or "suck it up," align more with masculine energy, for example, whether that energy is a man or a woman, Luciani said. One piece of the exercise puzzle is that both men and women said they use mantras and mottos as one piece of their coaching and more as a supplemental tool that glues together a client's exercise program. More importantly, the coaches said individuals need to assess where they are at their fitness journey along with the aspirations they have set for themselves. Now, when it comes to developing fitness goals and setting a pace for yourself, it's very important that you don't get the temptation to dive in headfirst all at once, Luciani said. That heightens your risk of stumbling into an all or nothing mentality, which is very common when folks are developing a new pattern. Now, ensuring you're challenging yourself is an engaging way, and it's just as important as not going overboard, Luciani said. You should also ponder the thoughts or processes that might have been ingrained into you since you were a child. whether that's a rigid training protocol or believing you're a failure if you haven't achieved a set goal. Now, both Luciani and Flynn have used fitness mantras themselves, and they change over time. Luciani said she recently wrote on a sticky note, "You can do this." There's not much to it, Luciani said, but having those words in front of your face every day can be something you really need one day, and then a little whisper in your ear another. Your needs can ebb and flow, she said. One motto that currently resonates with Flynn is "because you can." I have a deep understanding that at some point in time, I won't have the same fitness opportunities because my body won't be physically capable of doing an activity, Flynn said. So I use it to squeeze out another drop now while I'm able to do so. Overall, the essence of using a motto to improve your fitness is understanding that your internal dialogue can be a powerful asset in changing your behavior. We all can use words to train our minds, just as we train our body, Luciani said. So Wolfpack listeners, what's your mantra? What's your motto? What words do you use when exercising? And in fact, mantras or mottos can apply to anything. It doesn't have to be exercising. It could be about getting things done in your house daily or your goals you really need to take care of, on a weekly basis. I guess for me, my mantra would be, "Get off your ass, Jeff." Or, "If you don't finish this, you're going to regret it, Jeff." I'm just joking. So what's yours, everyone? If you have any comments on anything like this, or anything I've talked about today, or at any time on any episode, I said this over and over again, and it falls on deaf ears. Say hello. Take a minute out of your day to send me a text, an email, voice, or a voice message. I'm not asking for a lot. You spend many hours on social media. At least a lot of you do. So please give me the courtesy of taking a minute out of your time each week, saying hello, giving me your thoughts and comments. I really do like hearing from the listeners. I do not like doing this podcast just for myself or feel like I'm wasting time. The email wolfpacklistener@gmail.com. You know it by now. 833-399-9653. Toll free, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, voice mailbox. Or leave me a comment on Blue Sky if you're over there. I've been doing this podcast for over a year now. I truly, sincerely convey to you how much I like your feedback, to hear what you, the listener, is going through, to hear your ideas and solutions that I could share with other listeners like yourself that would possibly help them. Contact me. Send me your comments on this. Your positive comments will never make me egotistical, just as your negative comments will never hurt me. What hurts me the most is apathy, crickets, silence. I adore conversation. Also, please, when you get a chance, check out my Substack. You can find it on Substack by searching under Jeff Allen Wolf, The Wolf's Den. Or you can contact me. I'll send you a direct link to make it easier for you. I'll be back again Monday. This is A World Gone Mad. I'm Jeff Allen Wolf, and without your comments, your feedback, and your engagement, I'm sitting in a room talking to myself. I hate talking to myself. The silence is deafening at times, and other people could walk into my room and see me doing that and think I've lost my mind and want to commit me. Stay hopeful.